What if one spark had brought down Parliament? On the night of the 4th of November 1605, a handful of guards stumbled upon barrels of gunpowder hidden beneath Westminster. The Gunpowder Plot was stopped, but the explosion it threatened still echoes in law, religion, and politics today. Why did treason and Catholicism become so tightly bound in Britain's history? And what did the law do with that fear? By the early 1600s, England was not at peace with itself. Elizabeth I had died childless, leaving the throne to James VI of Scotland, now James I of England. His accession promised union, but also carried tension. England was a Protestant kingdom, yet the memory of Mary I's Catholic persecutions and Elizabeth's execution of Mary Queen of Scots kept wounds open. Catholics hoped James would ease the penal laws against them, but suspicion never left. Could a new king really heal divisions that were centuries in the making? Since the Middle Ages, treason had been the gravest crime against the crown. To plot against the king was to plot against the realm itself. Under the Tudors, treason law had been stretched wide, catching rebels, conspirators, even words spoken against a monarch. Under James, this legal weapon remained sharp. For Catholics, practicing faith in secret meant living always under the suspicion of treason. But how far could suspicion go before it erupted into violence? Robert Catesby, Guy Fawkes, and their circle did not see themselves as criminals. They saw themselves as soldiers in a holy war. In 1605, after years of fines, exclusions and pressure, they chose to act. Their plan? To blow up the House of Lords at the state opening of Parliament, killing king, lords and commoners in one strike. Then to place a Catholic monarch on the throne. But if the plan was so carefully laid, how was it uncovered? The plot unravelled because of a warning. Lord Monteagle received a mysterious letter urging him to avoid Parliament on the 5th of November. Alarmed, he passed it to Robert Cecil, James's spymaster. Searchers of the undercroft beneath the Lords revealed Guy Fawkes, armed with matches and surrounded by gunpowder. The plot was undone before it began. But the discovery of the barrels was only the beginning. The law's response would be even more explosive. The conspirators were hunted down, killed, or captured. Those who lived faced the full brutality of treason law: trial, conviction, and execution by hanging, drawing, and quartering. Their deaths were meant not just as punishment, but as a public lesson. Treason was to be met with the harshest justice the state could deliver. Yet the Gunpowder Plot did not just punish men, it reshaped laws for generations. In the aftermath, Parliament passed new oaths of allegiance, binding subjects to reject papal authority. Catholics faced tighter restrictions on property, education, and office. The association between Catholic faith and treason hardened in law. To be Catholic was not simply to dissent, it was to be suspected of plotting against king and kingdom. But if Catholics were bound more tightly, what did that mean for England's identity as a Protestant state? Each year, the foiling of the plot was celebrated. Bonfires were lit, bells rang, and prayers of thanksgiving were read in churches. November the 5th became Guy Fawkes Night, a ritual of loyalty to crown and country, and a reminder of the Catholic threat. Over time, the bonfire became less about law and more about culture. Yet the message was clear: treason would never be forgotten. And yet the question of Catholic loyalty refused to die, haunting politics for centuries. Even into the 19th century, Catholics were excluded from Parliament and public office. The Catholic Relief Acts of the late 18th century began to soften restrictions, but emancipation was not complete until 1829. By then, the shadow of the Gunpowder Plot still loomed, a memory that made every step towards equality contested. So how do we measure the real legacy of 1605? In fire averted or suspicion entrenched? The Gunpowder Plot was a failure. Yet in failure, it achieved something lasting. It fused treason with religious identity in British law and memory. The barrels never exploded, but the aftershock shaped centuries of politics. It asks us to reflect. How does fear make law harsher? And how long can a single act of terror echo through a nation's legal and cultural life? Thank you for walking a little further down the road that made Britain with me. The story winds on. Try this one. I think you'll like it. Until then, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you very soon.